So there's this high growth stock that took a big hit in early September, but since then, ARK Invest has been loading up on shares. In fact, in just about 1 month, this stock has climbed over 22%, providing some impressive returns for Cathie Wood and the ARK Invest team on their initial tranches in this company. Now, how much of the stock have they bought so far? This may surprise you. I personally was extremely surprised to see that ARK Invest currently holds, just in the purchases that they've made in the last month or so, around $127 million in value in this stock. You can see it's been distributed through a few of their funds, including ARK-F, ARK-K, and ARK-W, and it's kind of a no-brainer to say that they're quite bullish here on this company. But why? This business is currently expected to see some massive growth this year and next year as well. 39.2% in current year, 28.5% next year, and that is nothing to sneeze at and is definitely a stock that is deserving of some attention here and some of your valuable time to look further into. So clearly ARK Invest, they're bullish on this company. Clearly they've been buying heavy shares in this company. So what does that really mean? Why are they buying shares of this company? What kind of prospects do they see in this company? What are my thoughts on this company? Let's discuss all of that in today's video. Now guys, if you appreciate the research, time taken to make these kind of videos, all I ask in return, smash that like button down below. Help us get 1,000 likes on this video. That seems to be the point where the YouTube algorithm helps push these videos out even more, so I would truly appreciate that. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that red button down below, join the community. So Slack is the business we're discussing today, and I know in recent weeks, many of you have been messaging me, asking about Slack, my thoughts on Slack. Have I been buying Slack? You guys have been buying Slack, and well, I think it's time that we have a quick discussion here on this stock, and specifically in terms of ARK buying this stock. So this video is kind of going to go over very high level stuff of Slack, but if you want to see more in-depth analysis, some calculations on valuation, that kind of stuff on Slack, then guys, comment it down below, and like I said, 1,000 likes on this video, and that will happen. So what is Slack? Well, they're essentially a platform designed for businesses, both large and small, and they help with communication across the business. This includes obviously instant messaging for quick chats, discussions on things, maybe team discussions, but it also allows users to share documents, presentations, invite to Zoom meetings, and everything else that enables for an efficient workplace environment. There's a ton of app integration in Slack as well, so if the service itself, Slack, can't provide you a certain feature or a function, you can just go look in their thousands of app integration options, and more likely than not, you're going to find something that suits your needs. Essentially, this platform is a collaboration tool that's extremely popular because of the way they have approached communication between employees of a company. Now, we already saw the growth prospects, the growth estimations of Slack, nearly 40% this year, nearly 30% next year, probably going to be around the 20s again the year after, and I think it's clear to say that Slack has found their secret sauce. It's kind of found their little niche, it's kind of found where it can really grow, and they've been executing extremely well on that. The biggest competitor or threat really to Slack is Microsoft Teams, because they have been playing in the space for many years, long before Slack was ever really a player in here. And this goes back to like the Lync days, to the Skype for Business days, and now to the Microsoft Team days. It's safe to say Microsoft has been very successful in this area in many large organizations as well, because they've been using Microsoft products for years and have decided to stick within that ecosystem and go with Teams instead of Slack. And yeah, there's plenty of other competitors as well to Microsoft Teams. There's little companies here and there that have their own solution, which has kind of Teams-like integration, Teams-like features, all that kind of stuff. But realistically, guys, this market is dominated by Teams and Slack. So this is how I see it, okay, between these two players specifically. Microsoft has the large organizations pretty much under their control. Large companies, worldwide companies, thousands and thousands of employees, they typically go with Microsoft. Why? Well, Microsoft has other offerings as well, right? They have OneDrive, they have, Outlook, they have Office 365. They have all these other tools that organizations use, and they've been using for many years. So it's very easy for Microsoft to come in there and be like, hey, you know what, we have this new platform called Teams. We can give you a good discount or maybe even offer it for free for a while because you're using all of our other products. What do you guys say to that? Very rarely will you see a company say, nah, we don't want that. We'd rather go with another company, add another piece of software into the mix from a different business where more training is required and all that kind of stuff. Very rarely will you see a large organization do that, which is why Microsoft has such a strong hold here with this business. And clearly, so far, this has been working extremely well for Microsoft. They're the leader in the space, they're dominant in the space, and I don't think that that's going to change, at least in the foreseeable future. But then you ask yourself, what about those other companies? What about, some new startups, new smaller companies, mid-sized companies, companies that aren't really fully attached or even remotely attached to the Microsoft ecosystem? What I have noticed is that a lot of smaller businesses choose to go with Gmail instead of the whole Microsoft kind of suite, and they're happy with Gmail, but then they need something like Teams for collaboration and that kind of stuff, so then they go with Slack. And this is, in my opinion, Slack's niche. They go after the smaller players. They go after kind of the mid-sized players because they know that these players aren't committed to Microsoft in any way, really, and they're willing to go out and try a new platform that's standalone that can provide as good functionality as Teams, or in some cases even better. Really, at the end of the day, there's a few things businesses look at, right? They want something that's easy to use for their employees. They want something that works really well, and they want something that doesn't cost them a whole bunch of money. And for companies that aren't in the Microsoft ecosystem already, it typically is cheaper, at least from my understanding, to go with Slack versus Teams. So in my mind, it's clear Slack has their niche. Slack is growing well. Slack is going to continue doing what they're doing. So how does this look from an investment perspective? Well, here's a few more, stats really to show you. You can see their growth has been doing extremely well in recent years. And while revenue has been growing nicely, do you notice anything that could be concerning? Yeah, the one thing that I notice is even though revenue's been ticking up nicely, those losses have been amplified in recent years. And this is definitely a point to take away and research further if you're a shareholder of Slack. Oh, but the plus side here though, guys, is that their gross margin is extremely strong. And if you look at it, it's 87%, it dipped down for a bit, but it's back up there now. And this is extremely, extremely positive, especially for a business that's losing a lot of money right now, because what it tells me is that they're extremely efficient, they're making money on their product, but they are spending a lot of money on other aspects of the business, which is what's causing that loss on the bottom line. But don't get me wrong, I think that Slack should be focusing on growth right now. They shouldn't really be focusing on profitability. They should be focusing on trying to capture as much market as possible, which is what they've been doing, which is why investors are willing to put aside that, losses that they've seen in recent years and look at the future and say, okay, if they can capture more and more of the market, then they will be able to eventually turn that switch and become extremely profitable. And like I said, the gross margins helps to back up that point. Now, one other metric I want to quickly show you is their free cash flow. It's an extremely positive sign here, and it's expected to turn positive in coming years. And this is something you need to always look for in growth companies. With Slack, you can see here that, while they have been negative free cash flow in the last few years, that is changing sometime soon, and that is an extremely positive sign, telling us that the profitability is very close in this business and could be realized within the next, say, 3 years or so. So all in all, I'm extremely excited about Slack. I have made videos in the past about Slack, so if you want to see kind of a dedicated video on that I made a few months ago, I'll leave a link description down below. But like I said, if you want to see an updated video on that with my thoughts right now, with the fundamentals right now, looking at price of sales and all that kind of stuff, that will happen if this video gets 8,000 likes. But now I want to kind of close off with a few things that I see with Slack. 3 trends really that I think is going to help this business grow even bigger in the future. The first is that they're kind of the forefront of this whole work from home era that we're going through. Every business has kind of shifted to a work from home model. Some have asked employees to come back in now, but for the most part, a lot of employees are still working from home, and a company like Slack provides that method of communication that's required to make sure that employees are still effective, efficient, and able to do their work with as little interruption as possible. In fact, in some cases, it's probably made employees even more productive than before. The second is that Slack is a software business, and because of this, they have a subscription model. Subscription models are extremely attractive to investors because it means a constant recurring revenue. Every month, there's more money that comes into Slack because their customers choose to stay with them. It's because they provide a good platform, maybe the price is competitive. Overall, they're just happy with the product and they don't mind paying the fee every single month to stay with this business. This is important because over time, what Slack can do is slowly raise those prices, as things get more competitive. Maybe Microsoft raises their prices, Slack raises them a little bit too. And now suddenly they're earning just a little bit more from every single customer, which adds up over time. Subscription is a way better model than an upfront, one-time cost model. And clearly the market realizes that, which kind of brings me to my third point. Slack is a high growth company. High growth companies, markets absolutely love these high growth companies right now. Slack fits in with that. It kind of checks off all the boxes investors are looking for at this time, which is why I think that ARK Invest has been heavily buying into this stock. Slack's funny because it's kind of been an overlooked business, mainly because teams just kind of got their foot in there and just investors see Microsoft and they're like, how can a business like Slack, which is so tiny, compete with $8 trillion giant? There's no chance. But clearly Slack is showing us that there is a chance. They do keep growing and maybe the tide is shifting here and this could be the turning point for the company. At least I think that's what ARK is willing to believe. But anyways, I think the bottom line, guys, that ARK sees these trends that's, going to keep growing over time because of the world we're in right now. And they feel that Slack is a huge beneficiary from this, and the market has yet to realize that and price that in. Now, whether they're right or wrong, we'll have to wait and see, but clearly $127 million bet in the last month, that's a pretty sizable amount of money put into this company. So it's clear to say that Cathie Wood and the ARK Invest team is extremely bullish on Slack. Now, as always, I want to hear your thoughts on Slack in the comment section down below. Like I said, I've got a lot of questions about this recently, so I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear if you guys are invested in Slack and what you think about this big bet that ARK is making on this business. Let me know in the comment section down below, guys. But either way, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.